Hello, leader. Welcome back to the Fierce Factor podcast. It's your host, Kaylee here, and welcome to episode number 300. This is a pretty cool milestone for me personally, launching into a new year and reflecting back on 300 consecutive weeks of connecting with you and truly remembering the first moment that I sat to record episode number 1 and the dreams and hopes of what kind of value I'd be able to bring, the perspective I would be able to share, and really just the platform that I so longed for to create my own, voice and share my philosophy that felt so, misunderstood and underrepresented. And I couldn't really find the place for it. And so the Fierce Factor podcast has been, I joke with my team sometimes, I wait to the very last minute to get episodes recorded because it's kind of like, it's my dessert. It's like the thing I look forward to. So I save it to the end. Sorry, Joel, my podcast editor. But there has been so much and there will be so much. And I have some very exciting news I'll be bringing to you here in the coming weeks or months related to the podcast. But for now, I just wanted to kind of take a minute to thank you. Thanks for being here. We're definitely quietly celebrating. And I also wanted to do something unique and different that I haven't done to commemorate this milestone. And so my team thought, why don't we do a blast from the past and take a walk down the memory lane of 2025 and share some clips from the top downloaded episodes of the year. And so that is what I'm bringing to you today. I'm going to be giving you some of the best moments of 2025 all in one place. And as you listen, you'll hear themes that show up when you're scaling your business, when you are leading, when you are stretched, when your teams are stretched, and leadership starts requiring more and more of you. We're talking about leading through chaos, building psychological safety in your teams, creating premium loyalty that converts and that magnetizes dream clients to you, and about growing without sacrificing your life to build a business that you love. And so we're going to move through these top moments one by one. Pay attention to any ideas that, you keep bumping into. Maybe that's a sign of something that your brain is calling you to focus on in 2026. And if you want the full list with all the links to every episode we mentioned, it's ready for you. You can grab the top 10 download in the show notes so you can save it, share it with your team, and come back to it anytime. All right, without further ado, let's dive into episode 300, Top 10 Fierce Factor podcast from 2025. Hi there. Welcome to the Fierce Factor podcast. I'm your host, Kaylee Lindholm. And I think it's time for us women to shift the conversation in business and step into our feminine leadership to do the most iconic work the aesthetic industry has ever seen. Each week, I'll be bringing a powerful dose of strategy, sarcasm, solutions, and sass that will rev up your creativity and ignite your brilliance as you link arms with me along our shared path of personal and professional growth in 20 minutes or less. Let's go. The first clip here is from episode number 282, The Real Cost of Starting a Business. Most people budget for capital. Almost no one budgets for the identity shift required to lead it. So that gap, that's where it gets very expensive. Have a listen. And we really are just at such a pivotal turning point in aesthetics, facing the friction of a contracting economy, the commoditization of information spiraling us into a looming trust recession, and a tidal wave I didn't anticipate with the PE roll-ups in aesthetics, a new class of talented injectors fed up with the consequences of these consolidations. I'm hearing routinely that injectors are feeling increasingly restricted in their clinical decision-making authority due to corporate price-driven purchasing contracts with private equity, most often prioritizing profitability over patient outcomes, let's be honest. Many tell me this has fostered a culture where the practice focus shifts from providing personalized care
to meeting these financial benchmarks, often at the expense of the patient. I also hear constant complaints of the slower adoption of new products and innovation because of this cumbersome corporate approval process. One injector shared with me that she wasn't even able to recommend her favorite skincare product anymore because there's a new 4 to 6 week review process by the purchasing board. Her words to me were, everything has changed. Working for PE is hindering my ability to offer cutting edge solutions to my patients. What's on the line is more than just my reputation. Wow. So here we see the shifts. While these injectors were persuaded by big future payouts and some lucrative signing bonuses, the push toward cookie cutter operations has begun to dilute their personal branding, their outcomes, and ultimately their ability to excel in their craft, making it challenging for injectors to build connections with patients and grow their book of business the way they want to grow it.
Clip number 2 is from episode number 249, Creating Psychological Safety in the Workplace, with my colleague, Krista DeNargo, Strategic Growth Advisor at KLC. Here's the thing, psychological safety, it isn't soft, it's actually quite structural. It's what turns a team from performing tasks into feeling empowered to share their viewpoint, take risks, and fail forward. Trust me, this changes everything. Have a listen.
We often, and I would say very recently, have been hearing a lot of mental health buzzwords, even in our industry, and psychological safety might be one of them. And I think it's really important to address not just, the theories around it, but actually the practicalities of what can I actually do as a leader to bring this to my workplace and my ecosystem? So I think that's the first thing I want to acknowledge is, yeah, we can talk about it, but let's actually also get down to that like nitty gritty of how do we do this? So psychological safety is a feeling, if you will, cultivated and shared by the team that it's okay to take risks. It's okay to express ideas and concerns, to speak up and ask questions and to admit to mistakes. That's a big one. And it's the feeling that it's okay to do all this without the fear of negative consequences. Mm-hmm. So it's really kind of like permission to speak candidly, from those employees to leadership.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Now, this next clip is from episode number 281, Lessons Every Female Founder Needs to Hear. And here's the thing, the level you want doesn't require a busier you. It requires a clearer you. Have a listen.
It's balancing that sort of analytical brain with now this is your playground here and you have to be okay with bumpers. Like you have to fail and try things and take risks. And you also will be stepping into an arena where you're not going to be perfect and you're probably actually going to be really bad and do things wrong first. And I think that kills a lot of people's egos, and then they boomerang back into, I don't know that, and, become this like, I'll just stick here and learn more clinical skills and never really embrace what you have, which is like really diving head into becoming loving the business, let's say, right? Because I don't think there's like a great or not great. Everyone who like is a great business leader, if you allow yourself to enjoy that space and allow yourself to go through the struggle of trying something and maybe not being great at it and then learning from it, right?
Yeah. And it's so funny you say that because sometimes I think, do I love the business or do I love the people? And the people are the company. And I'm here because of them. And, and all these memories pop up on your phone. And I look back to my team even 2 years ago, and I loved them also. And some of them didn't do great things to me, and I still just poured everything into my team, every step of the journey, because they want to be here for a reason. And if they didn't want to be here, then I was like, just go on then. I want people who want to be here, that love it, that eat, breathe, sleep, G-Face MD. But it truly is the people that make up the company. And that's why I love it. I don't love all the decisions. I mean, I use the word decision making fatigue all the time. I'm just like, I can't make another decision today. I just can't do it. But it's getting less and less as you delegate more and more to bigger decisions less frequently. And the day-to-day just runs itself. And, it's how do you get there? And I know that's what you help so many with.
Yeah. And it's that, again, like I think we're used to Like, think about what made you successful in the beginning. You were very much in control of your destiny in the sense of, okay, I know if I study, get this grade, here's where I go next. Or I know if I like put this effort in here, this will happen, right? And you get to this inflection point when you're building a business where that way it doesn't work. You can't build it by like grinding more. There's not enough hours in the day, and you need to have other people. But then you have to learn a new skill, which is letting go of control and allowing people to essentially creating a place where they can safely fail. And maybe they're not going to do it just like you, right? And I think when early on, when you're building your team, and I wonder if like you had this experience too, you're just so hungry to have people that like want to be a part of it and to help you. You're like, I'm exhausted, like someone help me. And you kind of just like whoever will take it, come
like friends, family, and patients that want part-time work. It's like
totally. You're like, yes, and on the cheap and all the things, and then you're like micromanaging them.
Next up is clip number 4 from episode number 287, Building Premium Loyalty That Converts. Loyalty isn't a discount. It's not even a program. So let's flip the script and ask, how can I be more loyal to my customers? This perspective shift builds trust and adds value, the currency of loyalty.
Membership programs still remain one of the most misunderstood and improperly implemented business strategies that I see in practices. I believe the goal of loyalty has been misinterpreted in general. A membership model should show loyalty to your customers, not just the other way around, because we have this concept backwards. Most founders preemptively jump to implementing a membership, assuming it will be the catalyst for client retention. They skip this strategic planning process, which is all about understanding your most valuable clients, how those clients prefer to purchase, and P.S., it might not be from an app, and how they like to be communicated with. And what's worse, most practices sell these memberships by offering deep discounts that cannibalize their profits, are a pain to track, and ultimately drain the system. So how do you know what kind of membership program is right for your practice? How important is recurring revenue? Where does loyalty come from? What really keeps patients coming back and referring to other dream clients? I mean, I hear these questions all of the time.
Clip 5 is from episode number 290, our Female Founder Forum, Part 1, Building Loyalty Programs That Actually Work. If your loyalty program isn't operationally clean, it doesn't create retention, it creates more work for you. Have a listen.
When patients are coming through the door and if they're like, I can't afford that much, then we start to talk about like, well, here's the membership again, and this is how you can plan to, supplement your treatment or plan out your treatment. And then, because we're doing more of the treatment areas and not units, we don't really have that much negotiation going on. And so people aren't like, well, I can only afford 20 units in my full face. And so it really just is an alignment, like, everybody's on the same page that we are going for optimal outcomes. So long story short, knowing your numbers and then like calculating your margins and being comfortable with saying that, members are paying normal price and non-members are paying the premium. And I think that's where people get uncomfortable is like, weeding
write that
out
down,
those
everybody.
non-members.
Yeah, please. That is like, if you're going to take away something from the pitch, let's repeat yourself, Gabrielle, because I think this is really important.
Being comfortable with like providing that service and knowing the value that non-members are going to pay a premium, and then your non-members, they're paying a normal price. So you're not undercutting yourself.
Next up is the clip from episode number 283, Building What Lasts, with our Pop Leadership Academy client, Meg Fox, PA. This one is for every injector who started thinking, okay, I'm just going to get really good at injecting, and then realize this job is also trust, experience, leadership, and making sure your standards still hold when you're not in every single room. Meg keeps it real, and her early injector stories are uncomfortably relatable. Don't miss this one. Have a listen.
Well, it's interesting because you talk about something that's like not necessarily a clinical skill, right? My business was built on relationships and on focus on creating an experience. So as you've now expanded to a second location and you have other providers, how do you ensure that those values are upheld
across your team?
Right. So I think the next part of the relationship is you're building trust, and you're building trust not just through the relationship, but also through your results. So I've seen all of the trends. Like I've seen when we used to put like a third of a syringe and people would like save the syringe and try to come back and get it again. Like what? We did that. We also did like awful results. Like we filled everyone's nasolabial folds till people looked like cats. Like it was awful. Like, but we didn't know. So it always cracks me up when these new injectors get on Instagram and they're like, this is wrong, or this is like, we didn't know. We had one filler. We knew one thing, and that's all we did. We also hadn't seen pictures. You didn't have webinars. You didn't follow anyone else. So we built trust kind of like going through all the motions, but I think I never went outside of like what I knew and what I knew well. So like then the next thing comes and everybody puts tons of syringes in, or people are doing packages. I've always just stayed really conservative from an injection standpoint, but I do it in phases. So I think that builds people's trust, and just having a really good result, because that's walking around on the street. So that builds, if you built a relationship with someone and they trust you, they send their friends, they send their family. And that's how my book grew. I didn't have Instagram or social media. I mean, we printed out flyers like from a little, what was it? Google. I don't even know how you made a flyer. It was ugly. It was awful. It wasn't cute. And you folded them 3 times and you put it in an envelope and you wrote an address and you mailed it. Yeah. And that's how you built your business. It was like we would have a Botox day or a day of beauty. We thought we were like just killing it. A day of beauty, like, woo, so original. But it would be a day where we would have, Botox and fillers and some specials and little treats and little like giveaways. And that's how it started. It was like piece by piece by piece, relationship by relationship by relationship.
Next up is clip 7 from episode number 260, Understanding Private Equity. You don't need to be scared of private equity, but you do need to understand it, because whether you engage with it or not, it's shaping the landscape you're building in.
Remember that no one would buy your business for 40 million if they didn't think they could turn around and sell it for 80. So here's the deal. You are sitting on a pot of gold, and do not let anyone convince you otherwise. It's not that complicated. Building a successful business is very simple. Hire the best people, serve the best customers, grow yourself so you have the skills to lead it. Slow down and focus. Focus on the basics. That is it. It is not a flashy new anything. It's the boring, unsexy basics, and then you give it time to grow.
Clip number 8 is from episode number 277, Comparison, Burnout, and the Confidence to Do Business Differently, with Pop Leadership Academy member Shannon Sinaraki, PA. Comparison will have you building a business you don't even want to live inside. And that's the quietest kind of burnout. Have a listen.
So practically speaking, what do you do when something is off? So now you feel it in your body. You're like, something's off. Like what? Now what?
I have to have quiet time to really just sit and think, or to not think, and just, take it easy. I think I have been so trained to just do more, lean in and work harder and figure it out. But that is the opposite of what is going to benefit me, because it's going to lead to exhaustion and burnout. And so I've had to kind of learn that the hard way, but just taking more time off, taking a step back, and just, being at peace with the process.
I think it's pretty counterintuitive that we got to a point where it was the grind, it was the hard work, it was the competition, it was that all of those things created the level of success that we have. And then all of a sudden it's like, you got to go sit on a mountain and meditate. It's like, what is going on here? It feels very counterintuitive. And it becomes like about how good are you about preserving your energy and building, I think, boundaries, right?
That's something I'm working on every day. So it's not like it just comes to you one day, but I think as long as you're staying true to yourself, you're not comparing yourself to other people's, where they're at and what their version of success looks like, and just really making sure that things feel in alignment with what, your whole mission, with your business, with your patients, with your team, and just think bigger picture. And I think everything else will kind of fall into place, and just really being okay with it's the journey, not the destination. Because if we just go and we're just trying to hit this milestone, this million, or, get this many new patients. You reach that, and then what? Like, at the end of the day, what fuels you? What makes you feel good? I think just getting back into alignment can help you feel a little more confident.
Next up is a clip from episode number 264, Stop Waiting for Later, Create the Life You Want Now, with New York Times bestselling author Sahil Bloom. This was recorded at last year's Alt Experience, where I sat down with Sahil, and his takeaway, man, it hit hard. Later is the most expensive word in leadership because it's just a fancy word for never. Have a listen.
It's so funny. Like you bring up this idea of enough. I talk about in the book, what does your enough life look like? The first thing that comes to mind for people is that I'm telling you that life has to be Spartan. It has to be bare. You have to be like, well, I have enough technically when I can afford to put food on the table. That's not what this is about. Your enough life can be incredible. I mean, if you really want 3 houses so that you can entertain and bring people together and create these amazing experiences for people you love, I think that's fantastic. And you should then set out a plan and have a set of actions to go and build that life that you want for yourself. But the point is that it's your enough life. It's not what someone else told you. It's not what you've been culturally indoctrinated to believe. And it's certainly not from looking at social media and comparing your life to all of the other people out there.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it, right? And how do we go introspective?
I talk about at the very beginning of the book. So for anyone who's read this one conversation that changed the entire trajectory of my life. I had spent the first 30 years of my life marching down the traditional path to success that everyone tells you should want. I have an Indian mother and a Harvard professor father. And so the combination of those two sort of cultural forces meant that our entire family was very focused on academic success being how we measured ourselves. I have a very high achieving older sister academically. And from a young age, for whatever reason, I started to tell myself this story that I was not very smart. And these stories that we tell ourselves are incredibly powerful as a positive or a negative force. Because humans are incredible storytelling creatures. And there's something called the narrative fallacy, which says that we will look around and find evidence to confirm the story that we already have. So if you tell yourself you are not smart, you are not capable, I guarantee you will look around and find a whole lot of evidence to confirm that belief. And on the flip side, you will ignore every single piece of evidence that would refute it. That was what I did my whole childhood. I told myself I was not smart. No matter how much my parents told me it wasn't true, no matter how much evidence there might have been to suggest it was not true, I convinced myself of that. And it built this insecurity, this void. And when you're young in particular, when you have an internal void, what do? You go around looking for an external solution to an internal problem. As you get older, you start to understand you can't do that. You cannot find external solutions to internal problems.
These next 2 clips are from episode number 286, Leading Through Chaos. I'm adding a little bonus here. You replayed this one for a reason, because it's not theoretical. It's what leadership actually looks like when everything's messy and you still have to make the call. First and foremost, strategy number 1 is to think and lead bigger. Now is the time I'm thinking about my life and the future in a way that's really bigger than I ever have. Because just as likely as it is that things may not be as great as they were over the past few years, and we're trending into a new version of the economy and industry, there's an equal or maybe even greater amount of possibility that this could be the best time that ever existed. I can't help but look back just to 2020, impending doom, uncertainty that I had never faced before. And amidst all the chaos, birthed the most beautiful blessing I could have ever imagined, the Pop Leadership Academy. If it wasn't for the constraints and adversities of the shutdowns, I would not have realized the vision for what has evolved to be the most profound business growth incubator for female entrepreneurs in aesthetics and wellness, and now expanding beyond. If I had shut down and waited it out, I would have missed out on the opportunity of a lifetime. And you and I wouldn't be here today to have this conversation on the Fear Factor podcast. So I can't help but think, what if this is your time? What if you are being called to something greater? What if that little idea you have, or that itch deep down inside, that vision that maybe you had for yourself or for your business or your family,
It's time to go execute on that. What if the obstacle is actually the opportunity? What if the obstacle isn't blocking your path? It is the path. Remember when God wanted to make David a king, he didn't send him a crown, he sent him Goliath. The most successful leaders I work with don't experience less stress, they respond to it differently.
And this final clip is from episode number 292, Stop Asking for Permission to Lead. This is the one that probably stings a little because it's true. The growth you want will require a version of you who stops waiting to be validated and starts leading like she already owns it, because she does.
The real CEO work isn't about having all the answers. It's about building the emotional and mental capacity to decide anyway, to trust that even if it's not perfect, even if you don't have all the data, even if you fall flat on your face, you will figure it out. That is what makes you unstoppable. And that's why coaching, when it's done right, isn't about giving you more information. It's about helping you remember your power, helping you rebuild that internal certainty. Now that's what you deserve in your corner. So if you've been waiting for a sign or for permission or for everything to just make sense before you move forward, let's just let this be it. You are the CEO. You set the direction. You make the call. You have been equipped with everything you need to lead. The strategy, the intuition, the grit, the resilience, it's all there. You just have to stop second guessing the woman who built this. I like to remind myself of this credo. Advice is input, but authority is mine. So stop waiting for permission to lead. You already have it.
Okay, leader. So that's the top 10. I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for showing up every single week, for listening, for sharing these episodes, for doing the work even when it's hard. This community is what makes this podcast what it is, and I don't take that lightly. I can't wait to bring you even more value in 2026, more real conversations, more tools that you could actually use and implement, more of what helps you build your leadership sustainably. Let's make 2026 the year you become the leader your business deserves. I will chat with you, same place, same time, next week.
Listen, leader, if you're vibing with me here, hang tight, because I have a brand new resource for you. You are a successful, confident, powerful woman who just isn't into being average. No, you have a calling, and part of that calling is requiring you to level up. And I know that if you're working across the next $1 million milestone in your business, you need to be in the right circles. And perhaps that's why you found us. I'd love to invite you to join The Blueprint, a weekly resource for inspired, provocative thinkers who are taking this conversation to the next level. Get access to free business tools, podcast supplements, guideposts, and direct communication with me and my expert team. And of course, a masterfully curated circle of women making big moves and disrupting the status quo in aesthetics and wellness. You can link directly through the show notes or head to klcconsultants.com/blueprint. It's time to elevate. See you there, goddess.